Good morning, friends on Zoom and on YouTube. Welcome to our daily devotional. We'll begin in just a few moments. Good morning, friends on Facebook. We'll begin our daily devotional in just a few moments.
Okay. I couldn't find it at all.
Good morning and welcome to our daily devotional from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn, and this week we are reading John chapter 2, verses 13 through 22. We're reading and studying this passage, which is the account of Jesus' cleansing of the temple and his discussion with some of the leaders in Jerusalem after this event or during this event. So this morning, I would like for us to focus on verses 14 through 16. This is Mark chapter 2. I'm sorry, not Mark, John chapter 2, verses 14 through 16. It is interesting. I think most English versions of this of these three verses, 14 through 16, make it into two or three sentences. In the Greek, 14 through 16 is all one sentence, and it's written that way, we think, in order to give the strong impression that this is something that happens very quickly and is very intense. So this is John chapter 2, verses 14 through 16. In the temple, he found those who were selling oxen and sheep and pigeons and the money changers at their business. And making a whip of cords, he drove them all with the sheep and oxen out of the temple. And he poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. And he told those who sold the pigeons, "Take these things away. You shall not make my Father's house a house of trade." Well, commonly, this passage is interpreted to mean that Jesus is angry about how the temple is being used during Passover to make money and to focus on essentially the market of the Passover festival. One remark that I think is in order here is that it would appear that religious people in ancient times had very similar problems that we have with our religious holidays, where Christmas is very easily turned into a marketing ploy. And it looks as if the same thing has happened for Passover at the temple. So remember, I think I mentioned yesterday that people coming to celebrate the Passover, which was a combination at the time of Jesus, was a combination of two different holidays, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And This was a time, of course, when they would celebrate the freedom of the Jewish people from the Egyptians out of the land of Egypt. And in order to do so, there you were supposed to bring an animal to sacrifice at the temple. And many people didn't bring their own animals. They would just buy one at the temple based on what they could afford. The other part of the other part of what was going on was that you had to pay a temple tax in order to participate in these ceremonies. And there's a very interesting story if you want to delve into this some more. The at the time of Jesus, the temple leaders would only accept the Tyrian currency, that is from the region of the province of Tyre, which was under the Roman Empire, but they would not accept Roman or Greek coinage because it had the impression, it had the head of a man on the coin. And so interestingly, they did accept the Tyre currency, which had the head of a god on it rather than a man. And so there was something about that was more acceptable. It's a very interesting story, but it's so most people, of course, would probably have had Roman coinage, and they brought it and they had to change it into this Tyrian currency and in order to pay the temple tax. And there are, of course, there's lots of room for abuse, and most people think this passage is really about Jesus being angry about the abuse of the system. But John really emphasizes the idea of Jesus not just challenging the abuses within the system, but challenging the entire system of sacrifice and trade and money changing within the temple. And it's much more emphasized here than perhaps in the Synoptic Gospels. I think there is a fairly clear message for us, which is perhaps not directly related to our churches. I know sometimes we kind of half joking about money being exchanged in the church, and for that reason, many Christians don't like for churches to do fundraisers or to sell things. And I think there may be something to that, of course, if the enterprise, of course, it depends on the spirit of the enterprise, I think, and what it is that you're trying to do. If the emphasis, as it was here, was on making money, then for these money changers and these sellers, then there could be a bit of a problem. But it's certainly something to reflect upon. That is, it's very important for Christians to reflect upon the relationship of their faith to the way that they spend money, the way that we relate to the marketplace, the way that we relate to the buying and selling of things. And perhaps even this is a good time to reflect on the use of holidays for marketing purposes rather than for actual celebration of holidays. So a lot to think about in these three verses, which the other thing I haven't mentioned, of course, here that we might talk about tonight is Jesus' anger. He seems to have been, his actions anyway, seem to indicate that he's quite angry about this. So we can talk more about that in Bible study tonight if you'd like to join us. So let's close with this word of prayer from W.E. Orchard, the Temple, a book of prayer. And we are still appropriately at the outer gate as we are approaching approaching God. O God, source of the light that never fades and of the life that never ends, apart from whom all is darkness and death, we lift our dimmed faces to thee and long for thy life to flow through our wearied hearts. To some of us, this mortal life has brought little happiness or lasting joy, though we have sought it long and earnestly. The things on which we set our hearts have faded to shadows in our grasp. The things we dream to do, we have left all undone, and we are very desolate. Before the gaze of humanity, we have dissembled our weariness and our unrest, but we cannot do so here. It relieves our spirits, O God, to confess what we are. Most of us are disappointed, and some of us even in despair. We have tried the broad, well trodden path. We have followed the primrose way, and we have played the pleasant game. Tears and burdens we put far from us. And yet the flowers have faded at our feet, and we have found ourselves at last in the wilderness alone, the wine of life turned to gall, its bread to ashes, our hearts weighed down with weariness and sick with fears. We feel there's something in life we have missed. We feel it as we look towards the western sky, feel it beneath the quiet stars, feel it most of all when we see what Jesus made of life like ours. Can we retrace our steps and seek the crossways once again where long ago we missed our path? Dimly, we remember there a narrow way led upward to a place called Golgotha, where beyond we saw the sky break clear upon a city's towers. O shepherd of the lost, lead us there again. And if the returning way be too hard and long and sad for us to bear, of thy great love lift us up and carry us like the lambs upon thy shoulders. Amen. Thank you for joining me this morning from Pilgrim Congregational Church. I'm Patrick Horn, and I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.